doesn't matter.
What up, YouTube? This is my good friend Eddie.
Hi.
There's 3 things we're going to be talking about. 1, the movie Tammy. 2, New Mutants. 3, pocket knife keychains. First thing we are going to talk about is the new movie called Tammy. There we go. The new movie called Tammy. I'm trying my best here. I'm sorry. I would normally show a movie case, but the movie's so new. There we go. The movie has sort of like a young Adam Sandler feels to it. Like with the younger Adam Sandler movies, they're serious all at the exact same time, hilarious. The movie Tammy has that exact same feeling to it. It shows the relationship between this middle-aged woman and her grandmother. And the relationship is a very unstable one and collapsing. Yeah, and a very unhealthy relationship, and it's constantly collapsing and rebuilding. It's just a very interesting movie. I feel like it didn't get enough commercial time. It didn't get enough movie theater time. It was maybe in Regal, like the high quality movie theaters for, what do I say, a week?
I'm not sure, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a week, not even a week. But it's totally worth the time. What's your opinion on Tammy?
It was pretty funny. They had a lot of good stuff in there. It was pretty quirky too, but they did have a lot of dark subject matter. Like, it was basically a road trip movie where the granddaughter and the grandmother were spending time together, which they kind of didn't want to do, but they ended up doing it anyways, just to see where it would go. And you did have a lot of highs and a lot of lows. You understood why one character didn't like another character sometimes. But overall, I think it was definitely worth watching. I paid for my ticket. I don't regret it. I love Melissa McCarthy and whatever she's in. And Susan Sarandon's good too.
Another thing I have to say about the movie Tammy is I know it might sound cheesy to some people because it's not a serious movie, but I feel like the movie is empowering for young women to stand up for themselves when they're in not healthy relationships. Because in the movie Tammy, the main character was not in a healthy relationship with her husband, and we see her in the film stand up for herself constantly. So I feel that is very, very empowering for young women.
Right. She didn't take that shit. She was just like, okay, this happened. Well, fuck this guy. I'm moving on with my life. And that's basically what she did. She didn't try to stop and compromise or anything. She just basically saw it for what it was and knew it wasn't going anywhere. He was with somebody else, so then she just got out the house and tried to figure out the next step.
We can't go into too much detail because we don't want to ruin the movie. Next thing we want to bring up to you guys is New Mutants.
It's a sub-team from the 80s, if you guys ever read from the 80s. After X-Men was kind of popular, they started making some spin-off comics. And the New Mutants was probably the first one. And it came out in 1982. Yes, I think it was the first one. But it was about Charles Xavier. His team of X-Men were probably, I think they were missing somewhere in space, so he basically gave up on them basically, and he just wanted to go back to what he originally did in the 60s, which was get a group of teenage mutants and teach them how to use their powers and to respect themselves and the world they live in. And he just wanted them to learn how to use their powers so they won't accidentally hurt anybody, kill anybody, anything like that. And a couple of the team members, he started out with 5 team members, and one of them was Sam Guthrie. He was 16. He's a Southerner, and he basically has a personality that's he's into doing the right thing. He's not full of himself in any way, though, I don't think. He's just a good guy, just a good kid trying to do good and trying to understand his mutant powers and his problems and everything like that. So I think he's a good character. Another character was Daniel Moonstar, and she was Cheyenne, a Native American girl, and Sunspot. I forgot to even. Cannonball's powers. Sam Guthrie is Cannonball, and his powers are to fly through the air, and when he's flying, he's invulnerable to any damage. So that's basically what he can do. And another character is Daniel Moonstar. She's a Native American girl, and she lives with her grandfather in the mountains with the other Native Americans on the reserve. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she basically is a psychic slash mutant, and she can create 3-dimensional visions out of your mind that it is either your greatest fear or your greatest dream, which you desire most. And she used to do this accidentally. You know, she can't help it, and she used to do this around town, around people when she would get nervous or anything like that, and that ostracized her from her people. So then she ended up moving in the X Mansion. Her grandfather, and the professor were good friends actually. So, also another character is Wolfsbane, and she's her code name is Wolfsbane. Her real name is Rain Sinclair. It's just Rain, and she's from Scotland. And Dr. Moira McTaggart was kind of a surrogate mother for her. Her mother. It isn't revealed immediately, but later on in the comics, you find out that her mother was a prostitute and her father was a priest. And her father, who was the priest, actually took care of her in the actually lived in the church for a while before she went to an orphanage or whatever.
That's dark.
I don't know.
That's really dark.
Yeah,
Marvel. Normally Marvel was kind of upbeat, and DC's kind of the dark one, but
her story is pretty dark and pretty vast actually. But she is very God-fearing Catholic girl. She thinks beauty is something to be ashamed of. That's why her hair doesn't ever grow. Like, it's very, very short, like Halle Berry classic short, except for it's bright orange. So she doesn't. It's a mental thing that she does. That's why her hair doesn't grow. And she basically can transform into a wolf. And when she does that, she doesn't have any problems. Like, she doesn't have any worries in the world, and that's why she loves being a wolf a lot. And she can also transform into a half wolf, half human hybrid, which is pretty cool. She didn't do that much early on in the season, I noticed. But she would do it later on. She would do that more so. But
wasn't that character in a lot of these characters was
X-Force.
Not the X-Force, that anime TV show, Wolverine and the X-Men.
Some of them were featured in Wolverine and the X-Men, yeah.
Had small cameos here and there.
Yeah, they did have some small cameos. They did have in X-Men Evolution, the New Mutants, most of them from the original team did have a few episodes featured around them. But in specific, Psyche, who was Daniel Moonstar, she had a whole episode about her and Kitty Pryde, and it was interesting in the X-Men Evolution. And in the X-Men, the 90s series, Cannonball had a special episode where Rogue went down south with him because they're both Southerners, and she tried to see what was going on because it was big riot and shit like that. But so they have been a little bit in the comics, in the TV shows. So that's pretty cool. But another character is Sunspot. He also had his real name is Roberto Da Costa, I think. And yeah, and he also had a pretty interesting story. His girlfriend Juliana was actually murdered, and he got into some fights during soccer games because he was a mutant. And they didn't like that. And so he's had some stuff to deal with in his young life, and he's one of the younger ones too on the team. Him and Rain, I think, are the youngest ones. And his code name is Sunspot. He can basically take solar energy from the sun. That gives him a really cool appearance, and he can fly and have super strength. That's basically all he can do. But he's a pretty cool character. His personality is kind of like a suave ladies man kind of like type of thing. That's kind of what he's about. He's kind of headstrong too. He kind of has a temper sometimes too. But his relationship with his dad is kind of interesting. His dad was coming up from nothing basically, and he's a millionaire now in Rio de Janeiro with his mother. His mom has orange hair, which is weird, even though he totally looks like a Brazilian. But you know, everybody looks different. But his dad, he has more of a friendship with his dad instead of like a father-son type of thing. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they had that. But they're cool. They don't have much beef in the earlier comics.
The thing that I would like to mention about the New Mutant comics is with the New Mutant comics, is it okay if I take out the bag? Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why I ask him it because it's the very first issue of New Mutants. I don't want to be disrespectful and rude. But another thing that I find out that's really interesting about it is, it was made in the 80s, and the style of the art has more of a 60s feel to it. And it's very retro. Very retro. Let me find a good page for you guys so you can see what I mean. It even has the little dots. The traditional comic book dots. Because a lot of the newer comics, they don't do the dot art anymore, because most of the time with comic books, a line will be made out of teeny tiny little dots. Alright, let me find a good page to explain this to them. Well, that didn't look too terribly bad. This right here. The one after this. Was that one of the visions you were talking about? That thing?
No, that's
Oh.
But yeah, it's a pretty good comic. They had a lot of memorable characters. The last another member of the New Mutants was Shan Koi-man, and she was a Vietnamese girl, and she had a brother and a sister. They were twins. She took care of them a lot after her parents died, and she had a really interesting story too. She had a adventure with the Fantastic Four before she became a New Mutant also, and she's the oldest of the New Mutants actually. She's the only adult. The rest of them are teenagers, and she's 19, which is technically still a teenager, I guess. But anyway, she was the leader in the beginning, and her code name was Karma. She could basically possess other people's bodies, but when she did that, like, her body was like, anything could happen to her. Her body would just sit idly by. But she was an interesting character, and she was the original leader of the New Mutants. But later on, after her character left for a while, Cannonball and Psyche would be co-leaders. They would like share the leadership during field missions. But they didn't really. Actually, the New Mutants really weren't supposed to be superheroes. They were just trying to learn how to use their powers. But they would find trouble, and then they would have to fight. Like, this is the first issue. This is the second issue, which he didn't want them to fight, but hey, they're fighting Sentinels. And the second issue, third issue.
Yeah, it seems like he got kind of got lied to a little bit.
They did. And Magma kind of replaced Karma after she had left. And they had some, there you go, that's some Kitty Pryde and New Mutants beef, because
we don't want to go too into it because we might ruin it for you.
Yeah, she was the same age as them, but she had battled with the X-Men for quite a while now, and when he made the sub-team, he let her stay with the original X-Men, and I think she was kind of snooty about it, and they kind of had their own opinions with her.
They had some beef with her.
Yeah, they had some beef with her about that. But you know, that was something interesting also, because when Jubilee was with the X-Men, and then he put her with the Generation X, she kind of thought that was a demotion, but that was his choice, so whatever.
But we're going to move to our next subject. Sorry, you finish. That was really
you're good. This is issue 18 when they started to change the art drastically. The story was kind of the same. Like the first 2 dozen comics were my favorite, but then after that the story just got darker. It was more about demons were incorporated in different dimensions, darker dimensions. It got kind of dark, but it was a pretty good series. They had 100 issues during the first volume, from 82 to 91, I think, before they became X-Force. Cable took over as leadership, and they became X-Force, which is a kick-ass team. They were like Wolverine-type assassins.
I don't mind dark comics.
It was good, though, yeah. And it did introduce Deadpool to the world. He was introduced for the first time ever in issue 98. So, hey, that's what New Mutants did for the world. They gave us Deadpool.
So, here's my question for you, Eddie. How many times do you drop your keys?
I don't know.
How many times?
Really? A day?
Alright, good answer. I mean, I think I drop my keys maybe 3 times a day. Just even walking into the house, I'm trying to take them out of the pocket and open the door, yada yada. But here's my thing is, I know some people want to actually get like a little keychain or knickknacks for their keychains and stuff like that. My thing is, if I'm going to buy something, I don't want it to break. I'm pretty sure that's how everyone is.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I'm talking about keychain pocket knives right now, because there's a handful that actually do look nice and you can use them. They are functioning. And then there's a handful that you drop maybe 3 times and they're just going to be a pile of plastic and metal on the floor. I would say get just a wooden keychain, wooden pocket knife keychain, or just plain metal one. But here's the thing: there's really not that many wooden. I never actually seen a metal pocket knife keychain. So that's why I want to bring up how to separate the good pocket knife keychains from the really, really, really campy, cheesy, tacky, fall apart if you drop them one time. My rule of thumb is make sure they're thick. Thicker they are, better they are, more they can handle. There's a huge difference between this one and this one. So basically, 2 of these can make up 1 of these. There's a huge difference. I do have 1 metal one, but my rule of thumb about the metal one that I'm going to show you, look up your state's rules, because you could get in serious trouble by buying this particular one. It's a butter knife keychain, butterfly knife. Hold on, there we go. It is functioning. I dropped this maybe, I don't know, 40 or 50 times since I had it, and it's still intact. It's a nice little pocket knife keychain. You can mess around, do some cool tricks with this one. I actually enjoy having this one right here. It's totally worth it. Now this one, I really enjoy having this particular one because it does have like a rubber grip around it. It's sturdy, it's thick. This I wouldn't mind putting on my keychain. This one, the main reason why I bought this one is so I can show you guys why you shouldn't buy it. And the reason is, 1, it bows like crap. It's not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to bend like that. This, I can actually, oh my god. Yeah, I can just snap this with my hands if I want to. See what I mean? Make sure you buy something thick. This, I'm pretty sure I spent $5 on. It's totally worth it. This, I spent $1 on. It will break. Do not buy. Take my word of thumb. Trust me on it. Thanks for watching an episode of BS. Holy crap, that was